All right, welcome, Amber Hefner from IDEA. I'm the executive director, and we have a great crew here today. But we are ready to get it kicked off right away. So I would just ask that those of you in attendance, please do keep on mute. If you would like to be on video, that's fine. I'm sure Jeanette and Mike would love to see everyone, but do at least keep yourselves on mute for now. Please do feel free to utilize the chat window. We love to know where our people are from. So please introduce yourself on the chat window. We will be monitoring the chat window for questions as well. And at the end, I will be putting the PDH link in the chat window and sharing that with you at the very end. So with that, I am going to kick it off to our partners at Thrively, Jeanette Simonson and Mike Hurley.
Thank you so much, Amber. We're so excited to be here. I'm Jeanette Simonson-Gorolnik. I'll put my information in the chat. And I'm coming to you from a former Chicagoan. I moved to Colorado about 2 years ago, and I'm absolutely loving it, but very, very excited to speak to everybody from my home state and to be a part of the growth that is happening within the world of education. So very happy to be here. I'll turn it over to Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike. I am still a Chicagoan, still here in the great city of Chicago. I didn't abandon any of you for Colorado like Jeanette, but I've worked with IDEA in the past. It's a great organization, and Thrively is really excited to continue to do some great work. So Jeanette's going to be handling the presentation. I'll be jumping in the chat. If you have any questions, you can always reach Jeanette or I, and I'll supply our contact information in the presentation in the chat too. So take it away, Jeanette.
Thank you so much, Mike. Excellent. Well, thank you everybody for being here. I'm sure that we all are, the title here is one of the topics that is of most importance in the world today, and certainly not only just students, but I want to talk to us about learning. We're all learners. Educators are some of the best learners. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about how to integrate well-being into student learning, but also into our own lives, and really thinking about Thrively's mission and vision, which is every child has a genius and they deserve to thrive. That also goes for all of you out there. We are all learners and we all deserve to thrive as we're going through this crazy time that we're in right now. So Thrively is really proud to partner up with IDEA in trying to think about innovative ways to bring well-being into the classroom. So making your lives easier and more efficient while also helping students. So we're going to, of course, start off with something that is really important to me, which is to share how you're feeling and affirm that you are ready to learn, ready to listen, ready to be a part of this next little less than an hour time together. And I promise you're going to leave with some strategies and some things you can use in the classroom tomorrow. Because as a former educator of 21 years, it was very important to me to leave with something I could use. So this feelingswheel.com, if you haven't seen it before, you can print it off, you can laminate it, you can give it to every student. But please take a look at this for a moment and think about a word that really resonates in your heart right now. How are you feeling today? And you'll notice that we have a big category of happy, surprised, bad, fearful, angry, disgusted, and sad. And then we have some higher lexile words in the middle section and some even more complex words on the outside. Now, this might be hard for those of you to see, and for those of you on an iPhone, you may not be able to see it right now, but think of a word. If you can't see this, think of a word that you're feeling. Throw it in the chat if you want, say it out loud to yourself, turn to your neighbor, whatever you'd like to do. Take a minute to do that. Wonderful. I see some people who are optimistic and grateful. Definitely tired after a long day. Yep. And rushed and pressured for sure. Anxious. We're going to try to see if we can turn some of those feelings around. That's my goal today. Busy. Absolutely. Thank you. And pumped, inspired. Good. We're going to try to keep inspiring you. Those of you who are not feeling so great, I want you to identify for a moment that some of your students come to school feeling that way. So what can we do to respond in the moment? And one thing that I want to kind of tap in for right now, for all of you who are feeling not so good, is to kind of take a deep breath. I know one of my colleagues, Schenker, who's on the call right now, does a really nice job with us. Breathing is so important. And so I want everyone to take a deep breath, let it out really slowly. Think about something that you're looking forward to, and ground yourself in the idea that today we're going to learn at least one new thing that will hopefully really transform our practice. And certainly inspiring each other is going to be another key. I am not the expert here. I am a conduit of information, and I'm hoping that you all share out as well. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for participating at this point. So I want to tap into a couple of things here. I don't know what's going on with my slides though. Hold on a second. I got to go back. So today's outcomes here, I'll read them for those of you who are on a phone. We're going to learn how Thrively can support all learners. And I say all learners because it's all of us here, and it's all the people that we come in contact on a daily basis. I also want to talk a little bit about infusing well-being checks into every day. How do we do that? We did it just now. We looked at a Thrively, one of those feelings wheel, but we have some other ways we can do that. We also have a wonderful array of assessments. We're going to talk today about our Thrively Strength Assessment. We're also going to take what we learned from those assessments and think about how do we then move our learners forward in a positive way, in an asset-focused way, through SEL, projects, and career resources that tap into their interests, and certainly all of the things that they're curious about. And then hopefully we'll get a chance to really share with you how to assign and create custom playlists and projects. But be rest assured, this entire presentation will be ready for you. So however far we get, I was a big believer in the flipped classroom, and I know you guys are all educators. And so there's going to be slides here that you get to go back to and use as you need and as you see fit. So use this presentation as a springboard for your learning and understanding. So I want to talk a little bit about who Thrively is real quickly, take about 2 minutes. We're a strength-based learning platform. And many of you are using learning management systems. We don't believe that learning should be managed. It should be experienced. And so when we help develop a whole child, we tap into who they are. We've got to know our students. And that's the first thing we're going to talk about is the learner outcomes, that every student that you come in contact with has talents, and they believe that they belong here, that they're respected and valued, and that they have a contribution to make. And so through social emotional learning and through tapping into their passions, and certainly we all here with IDEA believe in the 4 C's and how we really tap into, we can't call them 21st century learning skills anymore. They're just learning skills. They're essential. And so being a problem solver and a creative thinker, we infuse this into the learning journey, so that kids are workforce ready. They know what they want to be when they grow up. They've had this experience so that they're ready for the workforce, and that they're lifelong learners, just like all of us here. So thank you for being a lifelong learner, and thank you for being here. You probably had some great educators in your past, and you believed in yourself. We know that social emotional learning is a springboard for accessing our learning. And so we are CASEL aligned. We have a really great compilation of different playlists and lessons, as well as projects that we can really measure and create some impact for students. So I am happy and well. That's what we want for all of you. We do have really easy implementation. So my one promise to you was you'll leave today with access to something that you can use tomorrow. I am not kidding. There are days where, and I hope I don't have any of my former principals on here, but there are days when I walked in the classroom and I had to pivot and my lesson plan wasn't going to meet the needs, or that I just wasn't totally ready. We all have those days. Thrively was my savior. I could tap into the needs of the students right away with our ready to use curriculum, and I could pivot really quickly to meet a student's needs by just click, and assign. And students were off exploring what they wanted to explore. So I'll show you a little bit about that today too. But before we do that, a little bit of work on you guys. Please share one thing you wish you had for your students or your teachers if you're a coach or an administrator? What's one thing you wish you had today to make your life easier, better, and more productive? Take a minute. Robert, love it. A library. Absolutely. I'm going to give you a virtual one today. Yes, Natalie, I love that. Catherine, I'm going to try to give you more time too. I know that's a really tough one. I can't really hand out money. Well, actually, we are going to kind of hand out money today, aren't we? But more time, efficiencies. A gym, great. Time to learn and share. That's what IDEA gives to us too. I love it. Thank you for sharing those. More patience. We have some lessons in here to help you with your patience. You can take these too. We're all learners, right? And certainly, Amber, great one. Self-care space. What are you doing to take care of yourself today? I love it. Thank you for sharing, and keep sharing as we go through. If anything pops into your mind, I'm going to try to tap into some of those as we start to look at the accessible opportunities within Thrively. The last reflection point before we jump into some of these, and I'm doing these intentionally, we're setting goals in our last one. What are your hopes and dreams? Use these with your students tomorrow. What do you guys want for the day, the week, the month, the year? What do you hope to accomplish? You spend a lot of time in school. And then I challenge you all tomorrow as you work with students, teachers, each other. I want you to think about a moment in time when someone really influential in your life recognized your strengths or your skills or your talents. And how did that make you feel? What's a phrase or a word that pops into your mind when you think about that influential person that said, wow, you're really good at this, or I'd like to use that skill because you have a talent? Thank you. Energized, valued, confidence, validated. Great words, everybody. Now, what if I said tomorrow, you can have every student in your class, every student you come in contact with, be energized, build confidence, feel valued, and feel validated. I mean, I hate to say this out loud. You don't need Thrively to do that. You just need to shift your mindset. Shift into finding a strength of a student or a skill or a talent that you can highlight for all of your students. And if we continue to do that for each other, we're going to feel like we want to be in the present moment with each other, building community. So please do that tomorrow. No matter what the case is, find a few people that you can recognize their strengths or skills. They'll remember it. And when they're in a PD 10 years from now, they might remember that moment and talk about how you energize them. So that's really our mission here. And what we do at Thrively is take all of those activities we just took you through, setting a goal, tapping into those good feelings. We need to find out where students are at. And so students have access to a strength assessment. It's built from the ground up by 2 pediatric neuropsychologists out of the state of California. It's an 80-question assessment, but it goes really quickly because it's an assessment that asks them to get up and do things and think about situations. And it's really an uplifting assessment. Kids will move about the room. They will have opportunities to kind of snicker and giggle, and there will be opportunities to maybe even look at what somebody else is doing. You don't have to, there's no right or wrong answers here. And so take about 35 minutes if you have that chunk of time. I didn't always have that chunk of time, so I did it in about 10 or 15-minute increments to allow students to come back and complete it. But what's really great is that at the end of that assessment, they get this uplifting and personalized profile. And it really transforms students. I love to tell the story of my sweet little 7th grade boy who, after he took it, he started to sniffle and I saw some tears. And I went over and I got down next to him. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened during the assessment? And he kind of sat up a little higher. And he goes, Miss Simonson, look at all the things I'm good at. Look at all the things I'm good at, is what he said to me. And I don't know about you guys, but I have the chills again. I tell this story legitimately every week. And every week I get a little teary-eyed thinking about this boy who at 7th grade may not have been told how great he was up until this point. 5 top strengths he looked at, he read about himself, and he felt more confident, more energized, and he felt better about himself that day. And I felt, you know what? That's worth it right there. It measures 23 of the strength factors, and it also gives us as educators an opportunity to see their career aspirations and their interests. Imagine what you can do with that information. I used to really take that, and when I was a STEM coordinator, and really try to align it to the standards and align it to the activities, and also personalize it to give them some choices as to what they wanted to do. But the assessment doesn't stop there. We also have an array of other assessments in the Pro version, which also taps into habits of mind. This was my favorite one to use because it gave me that idea of who are my students and what are their dispositions when they are confronted with a challenge. Benekalik and Art Costa's 30 years of research has helped really identify these 16 habits of mind that allow us to kind of understand, how do we face dilemmas? What do we do when we're in uncertainties? And certainly we're sitting within an uncertain environment right now. So this can help us understand, what are our kids struggling with, and how do they overcome failure? And you can see from this example here, we have a student who strives for accuracy and manages impulsivity really well. But this student doesn't take responsible risk very well, or doesn't find humor. So maybe she's a perfectionist, or he's a perfectionist, and I need to use that information as an educator to try to figure out what I want to do with this student, or what I want to watch out for. So this is really important information. The habits of mind profile will also show growth over time. So if I'm using an SEL program, or I'm doing some PBL units, I can deliver this from fall to spring or fall to fall, and I can see if what I'm doing is creating an impact for them. So that's really powerful. For all of you in the CTE world out there, you're looking for some things that can align to some career resources. The RIASEC profile helps really identify our top personality types. In this case, we see artistic and investigative being one of the top for this student. And so it tells Anna, go ahead, look at what it would be like to be an animator, a choreographer, or a computer programmer. These are some of the suggestions that it gives to her, as well as some other interest categories. And those are all clickable links for her to be able to explore a little bit deeper. One of the other missions that we have here at Thrively is to build autonomy. So as we start to learn more about ourselves, start to become self-aware, start to manage our impulsivities and our actions, we start to look at ways that we can develop as a human, and we start to take that ownership. What do I need to do if I want to become an animator? What kind of skills do I need to develop? And what kind of opportunities do I need to create for myself, or ask my teacher to help me create? So that advocacy piece is really important. So this information really helps the student, but also yourselves. The other place that I really took some of this information and ran with it from a design standpoint is, once I know each student, I can go into each student's dashboard. And as you can see, I can look at Allison and Anna, and I can quickly see what are they aspiring to be, or what are they interested in. Notice we can also invite parents, which is really wonderful. We've got to bring community. We've got to bring parents to the conversation so that they can start to have those conversations at home. But what's also really great is, notice on the left-hand side here, and for those of you listening in on a phone, I'll explain it. We can see a whole compilation of our students' strengths as a class, or as a grade level, or as a whole school. So in this example, we can see that we have 15 students who are showing flexibility in this class, and I can see who those students are. And this helps me with my groupings. Maybe I want to put some flexible students in with the analytical students, in with the students who have independence. And I'm going to try to organize my groups around some of these strengths, and maybe even some of the habits of mind or the interests. So this insights feature at the bottom will also give us a lot of important information that we can use from a holistic standpoint. Data is great to use. We just have to start to figure out what we're going to do with it. The other offline activity that you can do once your students have taken their strength assessment, and I encourage you guys to do this as well, is to create a user guide. Every single one of you today, take the strength assessment, get your top 5 strengths, and start filling in this information, whether you put it on a digital platform like we've done here, or you put a big poster in your room and you say, hey, everybody, these are some things I want you to know. What I don't have patience for, or how to best communicate with me, how to help me, or what people might misunderstand about me. You can add, of course, the things that are important to you, but on the bottom of my email, I have my top strengths, and I certainly talk about those with my team here at Thrively as to how we're going to continue to use my strengths to continue to grow and develop as humans. So use this tomorrow if you want, steal this and have your students do it. And run with it. And it's a really great activity that students can start to see, wait, who else has the analytical mind, or who else has my top strength? And you'll start to see some really great conversations happen. So once we've gathered all that information and we've found out about our students, the next level is engagement. How do I engage my students, not only in their learning, but in the things that I know they want to learn and they need to learn? So there's a number of recommended playlists on this slide, which you can go into your dashboard and search for. We have partnered up with the we.org organization. You may have heard of them. You may have done some of their service learning projects before. They have a whole array of well-being lessons that we've populated. They're all free inside of Thrively. And you can go to that and you can tap into something tomorrow to help with social emotional learning, wellness, mindfulness, breathing, any of those different things that we can tap into for students to give them strategies. But we also have a wonderful array of playlists that cover everything from creativity, executive functioning. We have some high school advisory opportunities. We also have a lot of STEM and computer science opportunities. So really inside of the platform, and I'll jump into it in a second for those of you that are actually able to visually see, I'll show you how to search for the things that you're looking for. As well, inside of the playlists are lessons. So you can go and search for lessons that give us opportunities to just explore from our own vantage point. So if I know that I want my students to explore self-awareness or self-regulation, there's videos and opportunities for them to do that. And then there's some reflection pieces in there that I'll show you in a moment as well. So I'm going to jump into the platform for just a moment and show you where you can find some of the things we're talking about. So you logging into Thrively is very easy. All you do is log in and use your Google account. For those of you that may not have created a login, it's thrively.com/login, and you create an educator account. It's free to do so. Once you log in, you'll see that we've got our Jean is right up here. She's our educator. She's got these assessments that are activated. And I just want to go backwards to go forwards for a minute. This is what we showed you. Allison here, Anna, she's got a strength profile. You can see that she's got this great, you're exceptionally goal-oriented and you have a gift of being able to focus, and here's your 5 top strengths. And it gives you what those are, because not every kid knows what analytical means, right? So we give them a little bit of an opportunity to dive into that. But then what they get is a getting started playlist. Right after they're done, it auto-populates to get them understanding how to use the platform from their vantage point. So you don't have to teach them how to use another tech tool, which I know is appreciated by all of us out there because we've all had to learn how to use all these different tech tools recently. It teaches the students how to use it. But as I mentioned, you can go into playlists. And for those of you that create an account tonight, you can go into playlist and search. Let's just say empathy is something that you want to make sure that you're giving your students an opportunity to explore. Notice I've got a number of different playlists that auto-populate. I'm going to go into one right here and show you that I get a playlist that has 15 to 20 hours of opportunities for learning. And here I can go in and I can see there's actually a project in here along with lessons. I'm going to go to one of my favorite lessons, which is building relationships. We all need to build relationships these days. And have you filled someone's bucket? I used to be a part of a bucket filling school called Goethe Elementary in Chicago Public Schools. And how do I fill someone's bucket? everybody has this invisible bucket. Notice that this will read aloud to the students. We've got this little feature right here for those that need it. We're going to tap into our wonderful kid president, where he's going to talk about how we fill people's buckets. And then down here, as I mentioned, students are taking in this information, and then they're answering some questions. They can answer the questions both with text, but they can also answer it with audio and video. Now, I like to use this in a number of different ways. Number one, a student can just answer it themselves, and the educator gets the information on the back end. But I think it's also important that we turn and talk, or that we have group conversations. So as we think about these questions, maybe have them have a partner. And how cool would it be if we could record the video? And I wish somebody was sitting right here with me right now, but turn and talk and record what you're saying with your neighbor. Or have a notebook ready and jot down your conversation, or maybe pictures that you're doing with your neighbor. And then you can synthesize what you talked about in this feature where you record your audio. So really a way to tap into some of those ELA standards is to really have them have thoughtful conversations about how they feel, how they're ready to learn, and what they learned about building relationships. This is a great opportunity then for you to go into the journals and see what your students have written. And it's so important that we continue that feedback loop. And we call it feed forward here. We're pushing our learning forward. So inside of every lesson, we have this opportunity to have students think about the goals that we've set for them, the playlist that we assign. Assigning a playlist is really easy too, and I'll just quickly show you that. This gear feature here shows up on all of our functions and allows you to assign to students. Real quick and easy. You go into your class and you assign it to all students, or you pick a couple of students that you want to have do it tomorrow because you're really focusing on them, and you finish. So again, 3 minutes, ready to go for tomorrow. That's what I promised you. So I hopefully for some of you gave you some time back in your life so that you can spend some time with your families. There's also the ability to custom design playlists. And certainly for anybody who goes in and creates an account today, we can follow up with you with some individual conversations about how this, but we can align them to the goals that you've set for your students. Notice we have a goal right here. Then we've peppered it with lessons and projects to help move them closer to that goal. And at the end, what's really great is we can assign them a badge and celebrate their learning. So what is a Thrively goal? Again, some of this information is here for you to go back to at a later date, especially for those of you who are driving. We don't want anyone out there looking at their screen right now, but we can set goals very easily. There's a whole lot of goals in the goal function, but you can also individualize those as well. And so every piece of learning starts with a learning objective, as we know, or a success criteria, but certainly having them also set their own goals is such an important part of creating a doable action plan. So those slides are there for you to kind of dig down deep and see what are some of the goals that I want to set for my students, and maybe even for myself as well. And then, like I said, we come back in and we can assign a badge to students so that they show evidence of their learning. Again, putting that ownership back into the students. So I want to show you where that exists in the platform. We've got goals. Again, all social emotional learning infused, right? We can look at the goals and we can set them based on social emotional goals. Or if you wanted to create a goal, I used to be a math teacher, right? I want to learn fractions, or I want to get through algebra. And these are some of the things you could go ahead and assign whatever goal you want and when you want to accomplish it by, and what kind of rubric you want to upload. So for those of you that are wanting to pair academics with the social emotional, and I know math, I know computer science, those take perseverance. Those take an opportunity to overcome failures. So we can pair these social emotional opportunities with our academic goals as well. And I think that we can give them then strategies to how, when I get frustrated, do I walk around the room? Or I used to have my computer scientists in middle school. If you got frustrated and didn't know how to fix the code, you get up, you stand up, you walk around, you go to the bathroom, and weirdly enough, when you come back, you're able to figure it out. And I think it's just that breathing technique or that moving technique that helps them. And then here in the badges, you can go in and you can create a badge. And again, as easy as this, we click the gear, we award to students, and we choose the class that we want to award it to. So if Erin and Anna and Ava all won that reflective journal award badge, we can go ahead and award it to them. Wonderful. So I know Mike's monitoring the chat, and I know we're giving you a lot of information today. We're trying to make sure that you have lots of resources for yourself, for your classrooms. So thank you for monitoring that. Now, pause for a second and ask yourself, how often do you journal at the end of the day? How often do you reflect on your teaching practices? And for those of you that are saying, yeah, I do that once in a while, or no, I keep meaning to do that, but I need more time. Well, hopefully we're giving you some time. The journaling power that we have as adults and that we can share with students not only taps into our ELA standards, but also, I love this quote. I had to go back to 2003, but I pulled this from some research that I had been doing. When we reflect on our own thinking process, we as students, we as learners, will become adept at recognizing the importance of self-exploration, of asking questions, and of connecting. So when I ask questions and I'm starting to say, well, I don't know how to solve that problem, I know that I can call my colleagues and I can connect with them and try to problem solve. When this reflection is in written form, though, we as learners have a source of dialogue that's prepared for us, because many students need that private reasoning time so that I can come to class tomorrow ready to live discuss or ready to ask questions. How many of you are wishing and hoping that those students who kind of sit in the back and try to, lay under the radar, we give them an opportunity the night before to reflect on some of the things that we're going to talk about tomorrow. So again, thinking about infusing social emotional learning in our lessons, if I'm even doing math or social studies or language arts, can we infuse these questions so that they're ready to participate tomorrow? As well, how am I giving them that feed forward? What do I need to do as the educator to make sure that I'm meeting, if we've set that goal or if we've prioritized something, that I'm giving them feedback that's something that they can benefit from? And again, what I love about this platform is I can give them feedback in text form or in audio or video form. So it can be this like dialogue back and forth between video to video. And I can make sure that I'm really developing that relationship with a student. You would be amazed at what they say in the journals. Be forewarned. We already probably know that, but they will tell you the darndest things. And I refer back to this book. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen this, What I Wish My Teacher Knew, but ask that question. What do you wish I knew? It used to be with Post-it notes, right? Before we had the age of technology. But you can go into Thrively and you can create your own journals and you can say, hey, I want to know you better. What do you wish I knew? What kind of feed forward do you want to give me as a teacher? Do I need to slow down? Do I need more visuals? Do I need to give you more time to work with your group? These are all essential pieces of making sure that the learning journey is happening. So I encourage you guys to ask those questions and to provide opportunities for your students to give you feed forward as well. All right, so here's our challenge. And for those of you driving, this probably isn't going to be a great way for you to do this, but we have awesome brain breaks inside of Thrively. So Mike, you're going to have to do this with me. Everybody who's on video, because I'm going to put myself out there, you can type in the word brain breaks into the playlist. And I'm gonna, there's so many wonderful ones, but because I happen to be athleticism and coordination are my two strengths, we're gonna focus on those right now. This core strength and balance. So for any of you who have been sitting all day, we're gonna do a little activity together. So go ahead and follow along with our wonderful, hopefully you guys can hear and see this. Let me make it a little bit bigger. All right, Mike, come on, you have to get up with me too to try this. Get kids advocating for them needing a brain break. So can we all do this? I know this one, I've practiced it a few times. And lift your leg. Oh goodness, now I'm falling over.
And then stop, keep the arms up, come forward,
Oh boy. I'm cheating. I have my foot on the floor, calling myself out.
Yeah. Come back
And
up.
then come back up. All right, I won't make you do that for much longer, but this is in here. And as we start to think about, oops, I guess I gotta actually pause the video. So this is about 2-3 minutes of an opportunity. If you start to see kids who are like fading off, or, you know, maybe they're off task a little bit, jump into our playlists, brain breaks. We've got some for middle school. We've got some for the little kids. We've got lots of opportunities for you to have them 300 minutes of brain breaks in here. Empower them to say, hey, when you need a brain break, you know what? Go over in the corner and see if you can just stretch and do some core strength and balance, even stand on one foot, right? And so we know the power of resetting, and we know the power that can come when we all just take a quick break and we do something that gets us ready to learn. So I hope that all of you who are feeling a little like, oh gosh, this is a lot of information, had a moment to just kind of giggle and laugh at yourself. All right, so coming back into our presentation for a moment. The last piece of kind of features that we're going to talk about are the power of project-based learning and collaboration. Thrively not only infuses SEL within playlists and lessons, goals, and certainly tapping into our career aspirations, but really one of the ways that I came to know Thrively was through this idea of project-based learning. And as a coach at the time, I was trying to really figure out how I could help all of my teachers think about how we're designing project-based learning, how we're getting the students to engage in the learning, and of course we know the power of the journaling, but then how do we also infuse the 4 C's and all of the essential skills that we're trying to make sure that happen during a project-based learning unit that's standard aligned. So this collaboration feed that you see, this is a project called All About Me. And what you're seeing on the left-hand side, for those of you that are able to see the screen, is that Sean goes ahead and he gives a little audio and then a video reflection on the task. The task is on the right-hand side. Now I'm going to jump into the platform for a second, because you also notice that there's this Teams feature here. We can create teams that will help us understand how we can move the learning forward with our peers. What we're using right now is the design thinking process, and you'll see these green tabs here called Discover, Define, Ideate, Create, and Engage. Each of those have activities in them. They're already created. So if you were thinking, boy, I really want to do project-based learning next week, but I don't want to design from scratch, we have something for you. We have this whole collaboration feed, all of the activities already created with tasks aligned to them. All you have to do is create your teams. So you can go into this All About Me project, for example. It's really tapping into the strengths that students have already discovered about themselves. They're starting to share what each other's strengths are, and they're starting to figure out, how do I use these in an academic environment? How do I tap into my emotions and figure out how I'm going to use them? And then I, of course, am making sure that I'm sharing that out. What's really great too is that you can start to think about who are my collaborative teams, and then the artifacts feature here pushes out to a digital portfolio. So one of the things that I always had a goal of is that every student had a digital portfolio, that we were going to have these awesome presentations for parent-teacher nights. And lo and behold, I can't say that I ever achieved that goal. We had little bits and pieces of it, but I never had this full opportunity where everything that we did in the learning journey went to one place. Well, guess what? Thrively came along and I was like, oh my gosh, well, I was trying to build this from scratch, not as a computer scientist. And this has been created. All of the artifacts that are part of the learning journey end up getting pushed out to the digital portfolio, so students can talk about their learning journey, not just their learning product. And I want to say that again. The learning journey is where the failure and the successes and the conversations and all of those really rich social emotional learning opportunities happen. The product is also a really rich opportunity, but it's not the only opportunity. And I felt like I focused on the product too often instead of the process. Now we have an opportunity to focus on the process. In that digital portfolio, we see that Anna Escalante has created this really wonderful paragraph about herself, a beautiful picture. She's a dancer. We can put any individualized learning plans that exist inside that digital portfolio. And as you see on the right-hand side here, we can align goals, badges, all the projects she's working on, and all of her highlights. Highlights are really those pieces of evidence that show the learning journey that she's accomplishing her goals. So through this digital portfolio, we have all of our information here. We can go into Troy and we can see, what have you been doing? We can customize this. This teaches, the platform teaches the students how to customize this so that it is owned by them. Again, that ownership piece is so important. And artifacts, as we mentioned, all get pushed out. So now I have this wonderful attention grabber. I can scroll through, and now this student can share with their parent or can share at a parent-teacher conference. Look at all that I did this semester, this quarter, or what have you. And there is the ability to design it and really make it their own. So I want to jump out of the platform for a moment before we get into the next feature and just show you, for example, in projects. We have the same search feature we had in playlists. If you want to search for a project that's aligned to ISTE standards, we can go in and we can type in ISTE, let's see, 3B, and we can go in, we can look, what are all the ISTE standards that populate? If I'm looking for something that's Common Core aligned, I can do that as well. And in looking at different projects, as I go into the projects that are here, I'm going to look at one right now that has a collaboration feed here. Like I said, we've got pictures and we've got artifacts of the learning. But also notice when I click down here, I can see all the other projects as well. And in that gear feature, that gear keeps popping up, I have a lot of other opportunities. If I've created an amazing project and I want to share it out with my teachers, if you're a coach out there and you've created an amazing project, you can go ahead and share it out with your teachers. But the other feature I have to talk about here is really that ability to edit. So if I'm looking at this this assignment right here, look at this edit feature. I can go in and edit anything in here. If I don't like this video, I can change it out for something that I think is a little bit better for my kids. I can change out the task prompt. I can redesign the introductory text, and then I save it. So every single activity in here can be edited according to what you need to do for your students. You might need to scaffold with some, Common Core aligned practices, or you might need to add an activity that attaches to a social emotional goal that you have. You can add any activity by naming it, giving some introductory text, linking a URL, whether it's in Google Docs or otherwise, and then of course adding a task. The task prompt is so important because that's what goes into the collaboration feed. So very easily, for those of you out there designing and thinking, oh my gosh, I could move my whole PBL into this. Yes, you can, because you can create a new project from scratch and take everything that you've been doing throughout the course of your time as an educator and import it in here and monitor the learning journey. If you're a coach or an administrator or somebody that creates project-based learning for professional development, we also have a Create Educator space. And that's what we're going to be rolling out with IDEA. Many, many more opportunities for you to have asynchronous and synchronous opportunities to connect inside of this educator forum. So we're really looking forward to that opportunity with a lot of you who may come back for those pieces of information. So really great platform. I hope that you guys jump in and own it, make it your own, see what else you can do inside of it. But before I kind of roll out some of our new features, I want to see if there's anything that Amber or Mike want to add. I know we've had a lot of activity in the chat. Mary Kay, let me answer. Yes, this is for high school as well. And certainly this is a K-12 environment. As you see with our search features, we've got the ability to search by grade bands. We've also got the ability to search by key factors or categories? Wonderful. Thanks for your question. All right. And if anybody wants to unmute, this should not be a Jeanette show for sure. So, all right. The last couple pieces of information I want to share with you is we have this ability to see, do you know your learners and are you engaged with your learners? So you might notice we've got this karma points feature. It's this band and it has this points. So it kind of tells you as a teacher, how much am I learning about my students? How engaged am I with the journal reflections? And how much am I pushing them to know themselves? So really, the karma points, please click on that if you create an account today or you come back to us and we create a school account. This will be a way for you to track your practices. But I'm really excited about this next one. So, infusing a well-being daily checklist for teachers and students. How often do you do this? How often do you check that your learners are ready to learn? Is it daily? Is it weekly? Would you like to do it more often? We have the ability now, look for this WellBeing Heart. If anybody's interested in being a part of our beta, we are looking for a couple of key people, a couple of key schools to launch and give us feedback on this well-being functionality. What this is James, for example, logs in as a student and it pops up. Hey, how are you feeling today? Have you been active? He gives it a 7.1 on a sliding scale. Have I been thinking clearly? He also gives it a 7.1. But look at this. He's very hopeful about the future and he's feeling heard by others. 10, that's awesome. He's waking up feeling rested? Not today. He's feeling pretty tired today. And I can see this as an educator and I can make sure I check on him or give him some grace and talk to him about why he wasn't feeling rested. So all of this information can be gathered from all of your students. And then of course I can see all my students and I can see these graphs. What is our overall well-being as a class? How are we functioning and how are we feeling? Really, if that's something that you're looking for and that you've been hoping for in your practice, sign up today. We'll have a survey in just a few minutes for you to fill out and let us know that you're interested in doing that. So without further ado, I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to listen.
Young people's racial and cultural identities.
Let me start it over. Listen to Karen Pitman. She's talking about what we can stop doing, start doing, and keep doing.
Young people's racial and cultural identities are critically important. And we have to acknowledge that the way we have set up opportunities for learning and development are not always respectful of the diversity that we have in this country. As we are thinking about how to maximize chances that young people are thriving, it's important to let them lead with their identity. Not bury it, but lead with it. Show it off, be proud of it, actually display it, to perform it, to put it up on the stage, to put it up on the screen, to make videos about it, to write poetry about it. So they are really bringing themselves into the room. If I come into a space, if I don't trust this space and I don't bring my full self into this space, the behavior that you see may not be a reflection of my competence. It's a reflection of me not being motivated to show you what I have because I don't trust this situation. If I don't have a relationship with you and I don't get to be a little bit more of who I am, you're going to slow down my learning and development by not knowing me. Schools and community organizations and families and the overall sort of environment of the community are all playing a role in shaping the experiences and contexts and relationships where learning happens. That basically is what the science of learning and development has told us, that all adults, all settings, all experiences matter.
Gotta love that message. So thank you for engaging in that. So let's escape out of that for a moment. So again, the question aligned with this, and Mike may have put it in the chat, is what do you want to keep doing? What do you want to start doing? And what do you want to stop doing in relationship to social emotional learning and the well-being of students and of yourselves? Taking care of yourself first. For all of those parents out there, we know we need to make sure we take care of ourselves before we can really be whole. So the same thing for educators, really thinking about how you're taking care of yourselves. So share that, what you want to start doing, and keep doing. We also have a survey link. If you could take 2 minutes to share your thoughts about today and some of the messages we were sharing. I know that Mike's going to put the survey link in the chat as well. For those of you on a phone, we can certainly send this out to you. And I know that Amber had mentioned that this will be recorded. So if you want to come back and give it some thought, but please take 2 minutes. I'll stop talking and let you reflect on today a little bit and set your own goals for the next couple of days. Mike, if you wouldn't mind popping that survey link in there, that'd be great too. Thanks. I love that. Start reflection points in my day. Yeah, checking with students more regularly. Great. Giving myself more grace. Boy, if you all would just leave today with that, thank you for sharing that one. You all are doing so much. And I want to make sure that you're all giving yourself grace. You are pivoting and constantly listening and trying to be better. Asking more questions and getting them to ask each other questions too. Boy, you know, if you think about our evaluation structure, right, it's always about the kids doing. So how can the kids give each other more high fives and more bucket filling opportunities? Absolutely. Love it. Thank you. Really great reflections, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing. And with that, I know we've got about 4 minutes left. We've got the survey link in the chat. So for those of you that are thinking about today's work, I hope that you've taken any kind of negative emotions you've had as you started this experience and that you are now more inquisitive, that you're feeling a little bit more ready to continue your day, to end your day, to be ready for your day tomorrow. Yeah, absolutely. The brain breaks. Those are really great. COVID restrictions do make it harder, but we can adjust those. And breathing. I think breathing's so underrated. I mean, I know we need to breathe, but how we breathe and how we take time to focus when we breathe. So next steps. If anybody's interested in making sure that they have access to Thrively, all the resources that are in here, you certainly, slide 9 talks about how teachers can create an account. We have Mike's email address in here. I will also populate in the chat my email address. You are welcome to reach out to either one of us, and we will share an Enable Pro for you. I know Mike has a quick little offering for everybody who's here. We're happy to sign your school up for a free training session if you think that not only you could benefit from this, but maybe all the teachers in your school could benefit. We're happy to set up a training session for you, and certainly contact us for any support. So Mike, I don't know if you want to share our offering for today. If you want to put that, I can make
Yeah,
sure.
so with that, I think I had that with this Google form
Okay,
I
great.
shared. So I'll share that again. So sometimes it gets lost in the chat here. But go ahead and fill that out. And if you wanted to try out a Classroom Pro account, you can fill that out and get it back to us. We can get you set up with that.
So the difference between free and pro, free, you get the strength assessment, but with pro, you get all the other assessments, you get the analytics, and you get access to so many resources inside of playlists, lessons, and projects. And you get this for a year. It's not like, hey, you get it for a month and you get sold on it. You, for filling out this form, will get a free Classroom Pro account for the year for yourself. And certainly, we're looking that you share with us all that you have grown from this. We love the IDEA people. They're constantly giving you guys some great resources. And so I hope that you will continue to come back to IDEA webinars and the professional learning opportunities that they're giving you so that we can continue to make this world a better place and continue to give each other the support that we need. Thank you so much. Our last slide for the day really gives you access to a demo account, so you can see a lot of information in here. If you wouldn't mind sharing this demo account with your principal or your social emotional learning director or anybody else that you think inside of your district might benefit from this. And thank you so much for your time today. Congratulations. You are now empowered with a little bit more on the path to discovering the genius in every child you come in contact with every day. And please go out and give yourself grace, give yourself hugs, and certainly if you can, listen to students and empower them to embrace their learning. So thank you so much. Amber, I'll turn it over to you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, Jeanette and Mike, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I was thinking of my first years of teaching and using bell ringers, and I was a science teacher. So I'd put bell ringers up about, science questions. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how incredible would it have been to have had that well-being check as my bell ringer each period, And then my next role in education was a school counselor, and I could go an hour here, Jeanette, on how much that would have been helpful as a former school counselor to have this access to Thrively. So thank you so much for sharing. And we look forward to continuing to work with you. For those of you that are here with us, we are really excited to be announcing some new programming and content that we will be partnering on with Thrively to continue this professional learning that we're introduced to today. So much thanks. I hope you can join us next week. Our Wednesday webinar is in partnership with Everfi and the Illinois School Counselors Association as we talk about demystifying the FAFSA, which in Illinois, the FAFSA is now required for all seniors to graduate from high school. So we want to help them with that. We also have several other new events coming out, so please check out our events page and our calendar to see what all is coming up. Mike, Jeanette, thanks again. I appreciate it. And for all of you educators, keep up the great work. I know things are really tough right now. So the fact that you gave up an hour to spend with us and improve yourselves in growth and learning says a lot about each of you. So thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and I hope you get some time to enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.